Welcome to NFL Daily, where we trust anyone in this studio to drive our sleigh. I'm Gregg Rosenthal.
Yeah, girl. Go off.
Chris Wesseling Podcast Studio. Sometimes you don't have anything to say at the top and you look down. We're doing a mailbag today, and that's the topic of our very first question of the NFL Daily Mailbag. I'm Gregg Rosenthal. That's Jourdan Rodrigue. That's Colleen Wolfe.
Heyo.
We're here.
We did it.
We've
made it.
Done it. We haven't made it because a week from now, that'll actually be the last show before Christmas. But you'll be gone. So it's our last one together, Colleen.
In Philadelphia.
And so we have a holiday-themed mailbag today in addition to some news and a big TNF preview. Maybe the biggest game of the year.
Beefy, some would say.
Have you done any shopping? I don't believe it.
You would have to. No. I still have to do a lot of shopping. I don't have a Christmas tree yet. I haven't put any. I bought a wreath, but I didn't hang it yet. So it's just sitting on a table. That's where I am in the state of.
You were exceedingly proud that you showed up on time, but it was like literally the minute that the show's supposed to start.
Just in time. Yeah. Just in time is my nickname. Yeah. I will always be here just in time.
What I love is that when Colleen came in, sunshine and butterflies also flew into the room with her, but she immediately sees me and Greg sitting here. We were just like chilling, and Colleen immediately panics and looks at the clock and goes, "It's 1 minute." Just like, you get credit, Colleen, as you would say to me. You get credit.
I was like flying up the stairs. Why do I do this to myself every time?
There's always one. Although I'm kind of one like that too. Until I became, a parent of two and more responsible.
Yeah, you look like a parent.
So
today.
that's what I need to do. I need to have a baby.
Quarter zip. I'm just saying. Where I had responsibilities, unlike you, Colleen. Let's do some news. It is time for the news of the day. Let's start with Mike McDaniel. If you listen to our Monday night show, we forecasted this a little bit. We guessed that Monday night might be the last time Tua Tagovailoa ever plays for the Miami Dolphins. Mike McDaniel was asked about his quarterback on Tuesday and whether they are thinking about making a change. This is what he said.
Well, I think the quarterback play last night was not good enough, and so for me, everything's on the table.
Wow.
A little harsher than the coaches usually are on the podium. But he's an honest man, Mike McDaniel. I would expect Quinn Ewers or Zach Wilson to start this week. The Dolphins officially eliminated. Don't need to go over all of that. Again, you had an interesting comment in the makeup room. We're getting made up. We're like stars.
What happened in the makeup room, guys?
Nothing. We just had makeup. You had an interesting.
They fixed my effing face. That's what they did.
Same here. You had a good theory about how this Monday night game played out, and McDaniel and Tua and all that.
Yeah, well, Mike McDaniel's been trying to separate himself from Tua for a while. You've heard the comments kind of come out. He's been more critical, and Tua has not helped himself out either with some of the comments that he's made. A little too honest at times, a little too open about what's going on behind closed doors. But Mike McDaniel has been more critical of Tua than he ever had before. Remember, he came in as somebody who really stood in front of Tua and expressed such belief in him. I was in Miami a year after they got there and talked with both of them about that and how the confidence and rebuilding the confidence in the player. And we saw a couple of Tua's best seasons come out after that, but it has not been good enough this year.
What has broken down?
And he is making more mistakes. He's not making smart decisions with the football.
He's taking bad sacks.
Turning it over. And when the team itself is playing much better and the run game has really started to come along, it does stick out quite a bit that not only has Mike McDaniel been trying to hide the quarterback, but also now is very open about the quarterback being one of the issues of this team. I do think that the way Monday night played out was, if you're Mike McDaniel, kind of a perfect scenario specifically for Mike McDaniel, because you need to separate yourself from the quarterback. He's trying to keep that job. You want it to be clear, if you're Mike McDaniel, that you are not a package deal. Mm-hmm. And so having it be on an island game with like Troy Aikman, commentating, and having that game go the way that it did and Tua play as poorly as he did, That probably was ultimately a good thing. Good is the wrong word, but a good thing for Mike McDaniel, who's trying to keep that job and distance himself from the franchise quarterback.
Yeah, because I think too that when people see that and see Mike McDaniel distancing himself from Tua, I think the natural reaction is to then start to imagine, what would Mike McDaniel and this team look like with a different quarterback? What could he do with someone else that they brought in? Because that fourth quarter alone was the whole game, they were very disinterested and they couldn't get anything going. I think Tua had only 65 passing yards through 3 quarters in the game. Like, all of the numbers were just like in trash time. It was so much worse actually watching the game. But I think that when you look at the fact that they weren't using any timeouts, they weren't going hurry up or up tempo at all.
He was done with the quarterback at that point. When you saw that, to your point, Colleen, like, you could tell the play caller is done.
That's
seriously.
it.
He just was like, fine,
like, ran out of patience.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
Right, which is why there's a lot of confidence among the media that McDaniel has a real chance to keep this job. So I have no reason to not believe that. Maybe that's coming from ownership. Maybe that's coming from McDaniel, who seems to have a lot of friends within the media in general. But ultimately, like, the person that's making that decision either is the GM, who's not there yet, or is the owner, who's going to hire a GM and require them to keep Mike McDaniel. So I still have a hard time believing that he'll be there this next year. But then again, you look at the open market, maybe you don't see a lot of great options, and he would get a job elsewhere.
I think he'll be there. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, the fact that yes, I know the Dolphins' playoff chances were like not really realistic at all, but they still were technically alive. In that fourth quarter, wouldn't Tua be able to, even if Mike McDaniel wasn't calling anything that was like of urgent matters, couldn't Tua like audible and get everyone going? Like, that's not even happening. It just feels like everyone has quit on each other there.
Right, which is, I think that does not make McDaniel look good. I think the fact that he's trying to separate himself through sources in the media does not make him look good. It makes him look emotionally immature. And is that the type of person you want leading? Then again, if he was open, like, I'd love to see him coach the Ravens. All right, let's move on to Jayden Daniels getting shut down for the remainder of the season. He re-injured that elbow. I watched him a little bit on Tuesday, and not shocking news. He had a good attitude about it, just saying how disappointing this season has been. He thought they were kind of fluky injuries, and they were. Maybe pushing back a little bit about the narrative that he's too small to play in the NFL. I do think he had some bad luck there, but I do think, Colleen, like, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board, because the biggest concern for him was they took a little step back even when he did play and when he was healthy early in the year.
Yeah, and that was everyone's kind of concern going into the season with Terry McLaurin's deal and the holdouts in camp. But you can't forget what he did in his rookie season and how well they played as a cohesive unit, and the things he was able to do. That doesn't just happen out of luck. And I think that the injuries, that is kind of more of a bad luck thing. But I just think that he's a really talented quarterback, and if they can get themselves together, like, this maybe was just like a mulligan year. You look at the sum of all the parts and kind of like zoom out, and the Commanders have had really terrible success these past few years, and last year was just the one year where they finally experienced something that was positive. But I think that they are trending in that direction still. I don't think they are going to regress. I think that they do have good years ahead of them because of Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, you saw the potential. I think that's the best thing about the situation they're in now is you know exactly what you can get out of this young player, and now it's about understanding where the rest of your roster is and understanding what dramatically needs to be fixed, especially this defense, and especially getting younger at a couple of key positions. That's going to need to be a thing, because you can separate the fact that this is really bad luck for Jayden and yes, some regression as well, but bad luck, you're not going to necessarily have that next season too. So you need to understand how to get back to at least where you can maximize his potential.
It's interesting to wonder if Cliff will be there next year. Cliff Kingsbury, who did such a good job with him as a rookie, and I think has done a good job when Mariota's been starting this year. Like, the offense hasn't been the issue. He's going to get looks, I think, for head coaching jobs. Like, there aren't obvious guys that are going to get, I mean, all the coaching spots will be filled, but it's very uncertain who's going to be available, what jobs are going to be available. It's a little early to think about it. Like Mike McDaniel would be a great coordinator. He's got the relationship with Dan Quinn, but it's like, I think Mike McDaniel would get another head coaching job in this cycle if he was available. So we'll have to find out who is the coach of Jayden Daniels. But yeah, big step back in year 2. Let's get to the mailbag. Mm-hmm. So we asked our listeners, give us some questions. They could be holiday themed or not. And we got them on Blue Sky. We got them on Twitter. Whatever the best ones were, they rose to the top. And yeah.
Put them in order? Did you
I did put them in some sort of order, but we might just skip it as we go, and this will make it tough for the producers back there. But we will try to go in some sort of order. And this was from Joseph Sanbo, if I can read my own chicken scratches. And he asked if NFL quarterbacks were reindeer, who would you trust to guide your sleigh? We have some real questions in here, and we got some holiday questions. Colleen, what do you think? Do you want me to throw out an answer?
Matthew Stafford.
Okay. Why?
Well, because he's the front runner for MVP.
Okay.
I've seen what he's able to do. He is a proven commodity. I can rely on him every Christmas from here on out. Who knows how long? Yeah. So I know. You know what? We're gonna have to get like a Tempur-Pedic situation for the sleigh.
we gotta put the immortal chamber.
We're gonna
with
have
the sleigh
a masseuse on board with us.
That feels problematic. In fact, I noticed Lindsay Thury of ESPN had noticed that the immortal chamber was back at the Rams facility
it's
on
there
Tuesday.
for Devontae.
I mean,
what is that?
That's the special healing chamber that made Matthew Stafford's back as healthy as a young man.
Yeah, I gotta get over there.
It's there for
Matthew
Devontae. Stafford. I'm going Dak Prescott. Everything will show up on time.
Okay, that's good. C.J. Stroud seems like what I thought about here. See, Stafford, I feel like would be. I don't know why.
He's basically Santa Claus.
I don't want like
Stafford would be like, I'm going to try to go to Alaska right before Florida.
He seems like a high risk. Like he'd be driving it too fast.
Exactly.
But that's not what I want. Driving
just on time.
You just want reliable.
1 minute.
I think CJ. He's young. He can make it through the night. Maybe unlike Stafford, he's healthy. But he seems like he would know how to modulate, how aggressive to be, when to slow down. I just would trust him. Bryce Young's another option because the greatest drivers in the world, they're all small. So less weight for the reindeer.
Is that a researched topic?
I mean, just from my own experience, but also if you look at NASCAR and F1, those are not big men,
right,
or women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess you could take it back to the horse era.
I've seen you do.
Exactly.
I've
That's what I'm saying.
Questionable driving decisions
what I'm saying.
Before you start to toot your own horn.
Who are the teams that are a coach away from being good, like the Jags or the Bears next year?
New York Giants, I think.
I think that's
a big one. Yeah.
I was actually going to say that when we were talking about Jayden Daniels, just thinking about how the division is going to change for next season for the Commanders and how the Giants, I don't know who they end up bringing in for a head coach or how this all pans out, but I just think with Scadaboo and Dart, like they have a lot going on there, at least personality-wise. But
a lot of personality.
I do wonder if Jackson Dart is sort of repelling potential candidates with his just sort of reckless
the way he plays,
comments that he makes about it too.
Yeah, I was listening to some of that. He thinks he's being. He believes he's being targeted by officials. They're looking more for it. Yeah, I'm like, well,
he might have a point because I see about 5 guys get concussed and have their head slammed or potentially concussed where they should get evaluated every game, and it's just like they're always just going scot-free.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, hey, by the way, just objectively speaking, it is a good thing.
Yes,
more people are looking out for you.
And you're the quarterback, so everyone's going to be watching you probably first, like
every snap.
Yeah.
The Giants have let it get out there, or Marcus Freeman, the Notre Dame's coach, has let it get out there quite a bit. How much the Giants really want to talk to Notre Dame's coach Marcus Freeman, so that'll be an interesting space to watch. The Bengals seem like the obvious choice for me because they are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They're 4-10, and they've got a lot of talent.
You've got your Zach Taylor shirt on.
Yeah. No, he's more of a polo guy. This is a quarter zip. I mean, this got the best compliment it could get on Rosenthal Christmas, which occurred last Saturday. And my daughter Alice said, "Oh, I would wear that." So that's good. I think.
I told you.
Unless it's not good to wear what a 14-year-old girl
I would wear it too.
It's cute.
Paul Daner of The Athletic, your colleague, says he doesn't believe Zach Taylor is in any trouble. But man, that they could do better. Then I was thinking,
the Browns.
if Mike McDaniel did get fired, how about let's get rid of John Harbaugh? I want to see Lamar Jackson and Mike McDaniel together. Because here's my vision of Mike McDaniel. He's like the equivalent of like a system, like a great system quarterback, like a better version of Jared Goff. If you give him a structure where the head coach is not like doing everything in the building, where it's more of a front office led and then also strong ownership led type of building, and you just fit in and you bring all the cool stuff that you bring, and I think the Ravens would qualify there. You just slide him right in. I like that.
I like quarterback head coach.
Let's do a trade.
Matchmaking.
Can we do a trade? Harbaugh.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that.
Harbaugh for McDaniel would be. Who says no? The Ravens. Maybe.
Greg gets what Greg wants.
He's wish casting this.
I really am. How are you managing your Christmas schedule this year? By the way, that last question was from Sam the Hobbit, so thanks. This one's from Blair Corrigan, who does great work with different graphics.
Oh, yeah.
One of which is
incredible.
One of which is Colleen and I in some version of the underworld, and is now on my Twitter homepage.
The best.
How are you managing the Christmas schedule this year with expanded holiday games? And then connected, another longtime listener, Tom Marshall, says, can the NFL flex the Christmas games, please? So I do think these two are connected, but why don't we just start on a personal basis,
Okay.
Colleen? How are you managing Christmas this year? You're going to be back in Philly.
Yes, I am. I am gonna take a red eye home. I'm doing a lot of Saturdays here at NFL Network now. I'm doing Saturdays and Sundays until the Super Bowl, basically. But I'm taking a red eye home after my last Monday night pregame show with Mooch, which will be this Monday. And I'm taking Kima on the plane with me.
Oh,
yeah.
my God. Colleen.
And I just don't know what could go wrong, guys. I'm not
Get that
really
dog a gummy.
worried at all. You're right.
Oh, I'm sure everyone else in first class is going to be thrilled because we know Connie's
I'm
not going to the back.
flying coach because I bought an extra seat for her because she's so big. So I'm flying coach. Yeah, I always fly coach home. If I'm paying for it, I'm in 32D.
Okay, good way to spread it.
She's of the
that makes
people.
more sense.
She's with the people.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
I love the people. The people are my people. I'm the people.
Here's the thing about these Christmas games being bad. It actually makes it easier to just catch up with them later. Exactly. So you can't flex them. And I know everyone, here it's a big day for the NFL. Like, the ratings are enormous on Christmas, and it's a big deal for Netflix, but they just happen to strike out that the Cowboys are going to be eliminated by then, and they're playing the Commanders. Lions, Vikings, it's okay. It matters for the Lions, and the Vikings are certainly watchable. So that's certainly better. And then you get the Broncos and the Chiefs, which is interesting, but it's going to be Gardner Minshew versus the Broncos, and why are Chiefs fans showing up? So you can just, to me, Christmas is a step too far for the NFL. I don't think that's out of bounds to say.
Aren't you the one who famously wanted a game on every single day of the week?
I always think there's never enough NFL.
Maturing.
Spread it out. But I think Christmas, that's a little too much.
Message.
Or just do one game. Book Christmas, or it's just on in the background while you're doing your things. But to me, that's Thanksgiving.
Wallpaper.
We already have that holiday.
I know.
I already did my Christmas. Rosenthal Christmas was Saturday. It's always a little strange because the rest of the world doesn't know it's Rosenthal Christmas. So all the stores are open. You can still go out for a nice dinner and everything.
That's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's smart planning, actually.
What about you?
I'm working because I have 2 features coming out those next 2 weeks, and please go look for them at that time.
Yay!
Yes.
My family will be leaving this Thursday night after we do our live YouTube show and recap of Rams-Seahawks. Then I'm driving to the airport and saying goodbye. So I think I'll probably be hanging out with Mr. Anthony Jeselnik, my other family-less friend in LA. Yeah, I'll be here.
Oh, nice.
We'll probably see an inappropriate movie.
Really cool.
Yeah, well, once we saw Cats, and then once we saw Zone of Interest.
Zone of Interest. I was remember that one.
It's one or the other. Is Tyler Shough the best quarterback in this class? Asks Saints guy. And then connected to that, Mia Wong on Blue Sky. Great follow. Will Rattler be a starter next year somewhere in the NFL? I'm going to answer the second one first. I can't imagine like another team giving up a pick for Rattler to be their starter. Like if the Saints for some reason want to get rid of him because they didn't like the vibe in the room, they could certainly get a pick for Spencer Rattler, who could just be a solid backup or like a 1B. But I don't see why they would do that. They have a great backup, which is unfortunate for Spencer Rattler, behind a guy who's had a lot of injuries in his life, Tyler Shough.
Yeah.
So that seems like a great situation for Rattler. On the Shough question, the other options, Colleen, would be Cam Ward. And Jackson Dart. I think those
Easy
are really
to get you two mixed up.
the top two.
Yeah,
Similar athleticism. I've seen Colleen on ice skates. So
that's true.
great movement
You have.
ability.
I think that Shough, he probably has more passing yards than either of Cam. Wow.
In terms of per game, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely has that, and I like that he has good decision making, and he looks good in the pocket. It's just tough because the teams surrounding both quarterbacks are so different, and they're not that great. So it is hard to evaluate them under these circumstances. But I guess Shough would be above.
I put him at 2. I put Cam Ward still at 1, but I put Shough at 2 over Jackson Dart. Yes. Yeah.
I think they're all closer than Titans fans would want to feel. But I say that, and I would strongly still go with Ward long term.
Yeah.
He's a lot younger. He's a lot more talented. I think if you put Cam Ward in the same situation, he would look a lot better. What, the Tyler Shough age shaming?
You age shame him every chance you get.
Well, no,
What you usually say is, and we know he's seen a lot of football.
I'm just saying, if you're betting on someone that's 23 or 26, Ward's situation is so bad.
Right.
The problem is I don't know when that's going to change. I do think you got to give Kellen Moore some credit, which I haven't done much on this show, that he's made both these young quarterbacks, I think, play pretty close to like their ceiling. I think if you hired him to be kind of a quarterback's tutor, whisperer, I think their results are pretty good.
Maybe that's his ceiling.
Kellen Moore.
Oh, yeah.
But even that would feel like a win for them, even if he only lasts there 2 or 3 years and he helps Tyler Shough become like a real deal franchise quarterback. I think he has a chance. Man, that's tough. Shedeur erasure here, but I don't think Shedeur is quite there with those 3.
But I think in a year or two, this is when we see Shedeur really ascend into his development.
Well, that's kind of what it's asking, though. If you're taking it long term, and that's why I feel like Ward's career I'm taking. But I got to say, Shough might be a safer pick than Jackson Dart, which seems crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's 2 different answers if you're going short term versus long term.
Dart, to be fair, I can hear the Giants fans saying he's even a year younger than Ward, so he is a young quarterback. Let's go to our next one. Gift bags or boxes? What is your rap game like? This is from Christman Gilchrist.
Gift bags, because all you have to do is throw some tissue paper in there.
I do have a bag.
Throw a card in there.
When I used to have
you can reuse them, less waste.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I do love that. Like the recycling situation is great. But before I worked at the NFL, when I had extra time to do things, I used to really go crazy with wrap, and I would collect pine cones from.
Oh my gosh!
And I would spray paint
My
them
mom
gold.
does that. I love it so much. And then
ribbons.
And then
the whole thing.
we when we try to open things, and then she's like, "Don't mess up the wrapping."
I know.
And it's like, wait a second, like what?
Now you're lucky if you
But
get
then
a
she
gift.
saves it, all the like trappings and fixings.
Yeah.
She saves them to use again. So it is sustainable.
Repurposing.
Yeah.
That's great.
My rapping is horrific, and I get mocked for it, but I think that adds some real why does it have to look all pretty? You know what I mean?
Sure.
It adds some real
Everyone has their
humanity
own way
to it.
It's none
Greg's
is good or
doing
bad.
art.
This
Okay.
this next question was so offensive. I just thought I would throw it out as some red meat to you guys.
Oh no.
From Blue Sky, Am I wrong, or is Troy Aikman the worst color guy alive?
You are wrong.
Wow.
So you couldn't be more wrong. What is going on?
I love Troy.
He's number one.
I literally talked about him for like a half hour straight last night, praising him.
Yeah,
What
this was
is
a
this
crazy
take?
take. I'm surprised because, like, what is it about Troy Aikman I think that would bother someone right now unless you just, like, love NFL officials? Like, I can't. Then you would hate Troy Aikman. I don't know.
Oh, I thought that was one of their best games that I've
Yes.
seen. They were being so cute to each other, and then Troy was just like letting the officiating have it, and then he was singing at one point.
He was really letting the Dolphins have it. Like,
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I think they
love
got a lot of
Troy.
grief is, and
Joe
he's
and
at the
Troy are among my favorite
They're
booths.
probably I think they're
Yeah.
my favorite.
They're icons.
And he's at the point, he always wasn't this good, where he just lets it fly. He does his homework. He lets it fly. He doesn't, like, care what the league office thinks, what
Right.
the players think. He's not trying to cultivate relationships. He has relationships, but he's going to just speak his mind. And most importantly, he knows ball. Like, and I think you have to do a little bit of studying to keep up with knowing ball. And he really knows ball.
Who is up in the Terry McCauley? Is that the guy up in the booth with him? Where they
Yeah.
is that the right name?
I think it's Terry.
It's one of them, yeah.
Or is that on Thursday?
And he goes, yeah, that's why I can't remember which one it is, but he'll ask Terry or whoever the rules guy is, he'll ask, and then he'll be like, oh, I disagree. I think that's a bad call. I don't see that. And like, why did you let the other guy speak? You were just going to shit on him.
Oh,
so
man.
good.
Like, doesn't
So
even
good.
try and softball it at all. Like,
So good. How'd you guys like my Troy Aikman?
That was good. I'm going to maybe try one here.
Really tuck the chin.
10
Two.
out of 10.
Yeah.
Which NFL announcer would you want reciting the blessing of the menorah?
Kevin Harlan.
Oh, my God.
So that's definitely it.
No brainer.
Correct.
Kevin Harlan.
100%.
Baruch atah Adonai. Melahelu Melakalom. Kadashir Kadashanu. The guy is drunk. Bamitzvah so. Fitzivanu. Lahadnik Nir. Shal Hanukkah.
Oh, he's a big man with a lot of hair.
Yes.
Sorry to all the Jewish
Oh.
people out there because I probably butchered that. I've never been to temple. I've
What?
never really celebrated Hanukkah until I was about 11 or 12, though. The one thing that my mom especially wanted to just keep of some tradition, even though they were kind of anti-religion in general, was doing Hanukkah as a kid. So that's the one like blessing or prayer that it's stuck in my head from doing it until I was about 11 years old. So I still know it. But we never actually went to a temple. And around 11 or 12, we just had a talk with my parents and said, like, the Christmas format's just so much better. We used to do both.
Serious?
Like, we used to do both, but we just kind of half-assed Hanukkah.
The most Greg thing I've ever
And we
heard.
negotiated just doing Christmas.
As a 12-year-old?
Negotiated. Yeah.
Well, yeah, my
Yeah.
brother was a little older, but I did most of the negotiating.
Everything I learn about you, Greg, equally does not surprise me and delights me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment.
true.
My mom's
Cat.
negotiating back was
cat.
like, we're not getting a tree, but we'll get a little like fake bush, and we're not calling it Christmas.
Wow.
Phrasing. And we'll just call it Family Day. So we called it
Family Day.
Family Day.
That's good. I went to my first Hanukkah night and heard the prayer
Oh.
the other, 2 nights ago? Because is tonight night 2 or 3? I went on the
We're in
first
the
night.
middle. We're in the mix.
Yeah, and it was cool. They sang the song and they did 3 prayers, and I didn't really know what was going on, but it was cool.
It's lovely.
Like I think reasonable minds could disagree about like which format is better. Is like you're getting something cool or a few things cool for 8 straight days, or like one big. But as a kid,
Do both.
yeah. Well,
That's what
that
they
is what
do.
we
They trimmed a tree and
Do
then
both.
lit the menorah.
that is what we did back in the day. By the way, I heard that I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this. That our love of Kevin Harlan on Sunday actually got passed on to Kevin Harlan
No way.
from her daughter.
I hope
from
he
his
hears,
daughter.
I hope he hears this one too.
Yes,
We
Olivia.
love you,
We
Kevin.
love you, Kevin.
and Olivia.
Yeah, we love Olivia Harlan-Decker too, who does a great job with Sky
Yes.
Sports, who I've worked with
Ah.
before.
Amazing.
So, appreciate her passing that on because he is the best. This was a question. There's not a right answer to this. It was who would be Wes's favorite player. So for relatively new listeners here, Chris Wesseling, who this podcast is the studio is named after. Of course, we did the Around the NFL podcast with him for years, one of our great friends. And I picked it out partly because I love talking about Wes anytime, but because watching that Chargers-Chiefs game on Monday when I actually got around to watching it, I did just think about how much we both loved watching Herbert's rookie year. And I did think he would really love this Herbert year because if you're a Herbert fan, it's like, it feels like he's like his arms falling off and everything's, but he's just like making those 4 really cool plays every game around him. It's sort of the opposite of what his reputation had been, where he's like this pretty boy, but they lose in the end. But no, they're like gutting it out, and he's been a lot of fun to watch. So this question made me think of that.
Good question, but such a tough answer.
It's kind of an impossible one. Knowing what kind of players he liked, I'll give you a second to think. I also thought about Devon Achane because he liked a fast, versatile back. Like he loves speed demons at running backs. Were very often his favorite type of players.
I sometimes actually, when these really cool moments happen, I think like it would be really cool to hear him talk about that, just like the old times, and like the Phillip Rivers thing. Just like to hear,
that's true.
Just
come
to
back.
hear how, just
that's
to
a good
hear
call.
how he would talk about that and like what he would think of it, and kind of just like the delight and maybe just the like just the craziness of what that was, and little moments. I thought about it the other day. I was kind of thinking the Woody Marks launching himself in the end zone.
Yes.
Like just like little flourishes, little moments like that. I think about that actually quite a bit. That's a great question.
And I miss getting the analogies from the most unexpected, random titles from books or movies or music or something that only Wes could pull in that very moment to make it kind of connect. I feel like Wes always was so good with just like making everything more digestible and relatable, but then also bringing in things that no one would ever think of.
I think of basketball players too, because as Wes would love to remind you, basketball was his best sport. He was a great basketball player, and he was a great basketball fan, and mine too. So I would love to hear him talk about like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and like when the Celtics were on a run, I kept wanting to hear what he would say about those teams, because we talked a lot of basketball. Football was work, although we talked a lot of football too.
I really want his take on Tom Brady. All of what Tom Brady is right now, including the dog cloning, including the I just want a good rant. I want a good rant. I want a good.
I know.
Yeah. I think he'd be, and I don't know, but I think he'd get to where I've gotten to now, which is that Tom Brady's gotten so much better at announcing games that
the growth alone is like.
I really respect that. I really respect that. He's just gotten more natural, but he also is putting in the work, and now I got to say I'm enjoying Tom much more. Shout out to Chris. I always think about him this time of year. Why does everyone line up for ham in Los Angeles?
This is not something I knew happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is more of just a tip. I think Los Angeles, because of the mass of people and the amount of volume of holiday dinners that are happening here, it's every holiday. It's not just, ham is particular to Christmas, but like outsourcing holiday meals is a pretty good way to go.
That's
there's like a million great places in LA. So I'm just saying that. I threw that question in.
But this is like ham at a grocery store? Everyone is like...
No, there's a couple famous like ham spots. But in general, that's true on like Thanksgiving and stuff. Like, if
I've lined up for brisket.
Yeah, if you can outsource
Christmas
it.
Brisket.
Ooh.
Why not do it? Would you rather, this is a totally random one that's more towards the end, but I like it. Would you rather take on one Will Campbell-sized duck or 100 duck-sized Will Campbells?
What are they trying to do?
Yeah, what are
they? Are they angry?
The fact that it said, "Would you rather take on?"
Are we fighting
the
them?
ducks in general are,
like swans are mean.
Yeah, they're pretty mean. Like if you come at them, so it's saying, "Would you take on?" One Will Campbell-sized duck sounds
just one.
Ferocious.
Just give me one rather than 100 little ones.
100 little Will Campbells.
Well, and they're duck-sized Will Campbells.
Just hunt them.
Now, Will Campbell famously said he would die.
Yep.
But if it was 100,
fight and die.
If it was 100 Will Campbells that actually had like the fight of a duck or a Will Campbell, I think that's actually a tougher one. One duck that's Will Campbell size, you got to figure you can outsmart him in some way and just get like a shot to the neck at some point.
It's just one.
Yeah.
I'm taking that all day.
Yeah.
I famously
like it.
I famously pick the worst case scenario in these types of things. I'm still waiting on Myles Garrett to show up out of nowhere.
Will Aaron Rodgers play football next year? This is from Mr. Mojo Doza.
No. I don't think so. In my opinion,
done.
I think you could tell. You see these shots of him after these wins, and he's just like looking around, and he almost looks like he's on the verge of tears, and like he just sort of he stays on the field when it's 9 degrees to hug and take pictures with everybody. Like it's one of those things. Saw it with Aaron Donald too. Like staying, just soaking in the little moments a little bit more, just understanding this might be it. That's my opinion.
I thought that after the game during the interview and all of the players were coming up to him and then he was asked about that. And prior to that question in the interview, I felt like he was just sort of on autopilot. And then that sort of triggered him to go into a deeper, sort of more reflective answer. And he was being introspective about it and kind of like he had this like, I don't even know the word for it, but it felt like he was really relishing in the moment and trying to pause and take it all in. And that contrast against him walking in to the game, arriving with this like hoodie on, and he looked so miserable and cold. Yeah, but I don't think he's going to play next year.
I've gotten the feeling lately that he will play next year. That he probably believes it's his last season, but the reason I think that is because I think there'll be a job for him. And if there's a job for him, history tells us like they usually take it in the end. So we'll see. It kind of depends on how this ends. I'm just getting this vibe that like someone's going to give him a decent enough job, whether they should or not. I think it could happen. All right, last one. Aside from personal favorites, Pats, Rams, or Eagles. I like that the Rams is just accepted as your favorite now.
I am seeing.
Who would you want to see win the Super Bowl?
The Bills.
Texans.
I think Chargers would be my first pick.
Really?
That'd be great. Herbert.
No.
I love an underdog, and they're underdogs in their own building. Like I'm not saying that ownership is like the best going and that they're the ones I'm happy for, but like the Chargers fans who have just been like made fun of forever, like do they even exist? Like, well, the ones that they have, like that would, I don't know, would be cool.
That would be cool. I think that would be good for Los Angeles overall.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just a
Bills
hometown guy.
Bills or Broncos? Broncos would be cool too.
Oh, Broncos
really
would be so cool. Yeah.
Okay, now that you say Broncos, I know we got to take a break. This is the last one.
Oh, because you don't want to talk about Bo Nix again?
No, there is another Bo Nix question. And I'm adding it. Is Bo Nix just Shane Steichen-led Jalen Hurts? This is a compliment. He throws the deep ball outside the numbers well. He's athletic and mobile and pretty smart with the ball. Great play caller, top O-line, and a great defense. Don't see why he can't make the Super Bowl. First of all, pretty good player comp. Yeah. Definitely some strengths and weaknesses that are different. I think Bo is much more willing to take chances than Jalen Hurts is, and better throwing. I think he's a better, just pure playmaker throwing the ball than probably Hurts. Although Hurts has had his moments.
But I do like they're very efficient when it's working. Very efficient, and the risk averse thing is a good flag too, because Bo Nix is not risk averse. Jalen Hurts is risk averse, and when it works, it really works.
Does that come with age though too?
And I think with Bo, it's maybe a higher ceiling, lower floor. I mean, we saw Jalen Hurts' floor, obviously. I think that's an outlier. But I also think coaching really, really matters with this, and you've seen it certainly with Bo Nix, too.
I just can't get out of my head Sean Payton saying that we're starting the year against San Francisco, going to San Francisco in the preseason. That was their first preseason game. And he wanted to end the season, his last game in San Francisco as well for the Super Bowl.
The question's from account here for fantasy, and the point that like why couldn't he make the Super Bowl? Oh yeah,
he could.
I mean, they are, if they're not the closest thing to a favorite the AFC has, like they're right there, and I think the recipe is there. We've seen quarterbacks lesser than Bo Nix go on runs. That's the thing. You got to do it though. Jalen Hurts has played his very best. Like 2 of the best games he's ever played in his whole life were in the Super Bowl. Maybe the 2 best. So that's what you want. We'll see if Bo can get it done. Let's take a break and let's talk about 2 great quarterbacks from this year. Yes, that's right. Sam Darnold and Matthew Stafford in the Thursday night game of the year. Maybe the Thursday night game of all time. back on NFL Daily. It is time for Hot Matchups presented by Wingstop. The Rams are favored by 1.5 in Seattle. It's the Prime Video game. Jourdan saying, you might be exaggerating, the greatest Thursday night game of all time. First of all, it's only existed for what? A little under 20 years or something like that. It's not forever.
I mean, that's
It is the first Thursday night game of all time where both teams have at least 11 wins. So in terms of a big game this late in the season, it's hard to imagine a bigger game than the two teams I believe are the two best teams in the NFL going against each other. And one of them is going to be in a position where they're likely to have to win 3 road games in the playoffs to make it. And the other is in a position where they're in the driver's seat to go get that 1 seat. So that's a big game, Jourdan.
Yes, it is, Greg. And my comment was more aligned to your penchant for hyperbole than it was.
I know, but I'm saying this isn't hyperbole.
It's
a
I am excited.
stat.
I asked you if I could take this game with you, and I am so excited about this because this has huge potential. Huge potential. I cannot wait. It was such a weird game last time. It was, Seattle outgaining Los Angeles 414 yards to 249 yards, but Sam Darnold having 4 interceptions and based a lot on some of the simulated pressure that the Rams were bringing at the time that really messed him up and kind of sent him on this course that he's on now. And can he bring it back to the Sam Darnold that we saw at the beginning of the season? And the stakes are so high, even though the Rams made the playoffs. This is a game they absolutely want to have for their playoff seeding. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, I think about those 4 interceptions because that isn't the only thing psychologically that Sam Darnold is approaching this game with, because when you go back to the previous season when he was with the Vikings, and which defense was it that took him down? It was the Rams, and he was sacked I don't even know how many times in that game. They were all over him, and that I feel like plays such a big role in just a quarterback's mindset. If he throws an interception early or loses the ball early, then does that start to kind of play into his head? Because I'm furiously vamping so I can look for the number right here, but it was, the wild card game last year. He was sacked 9 times. That was the season-ending loss, obviously, for them. So I just am wondering how he'll be in the pocket in this one. And it's interesting to think about the 2 quarterbacks in this game, because Sam Darnold, everyone is watching how he's done in Ryan Grubb's offense, and how, is he the guy that we saw all year with the Vikings, or is he the guy that we saw against the Rams when he was with the Vikings and this year with the Seahawks? And then on the other side, you have Matthew Stafford, who's on this MVP campaign. So the 2 narratives, even just at the quarterback position, so interesting.
I mean, it's Stafford's MVP moment. He has a huge game in this game. He wins the MVP likely, especially with
the conversation.
Yes,
big for Patrick.
It's huge for the conversation. I guess you never know if Allen went supernova and Stafford then stubbed his toe in the final 2 weeks with really good matchups, Atlanta and Arizona. You can't just write it in, but if he has a good game on Thursday night, he's now going to be like a heavy favorite. And he didn't look great in that game. They had 130 yards, something like that, passing, 12 first downs. And Seattle, what they do defensively gave them a lot of problems. We've talked a lot about the 13 personnel. You were way ahead of that in terms of the 3 tight ends that the Rams like to put on the field, and how that's really helped them unlock their offense. Well, the Seahawks shut that down when the 2 of them played.
Yes.
They played that personnel grouping better than any team all year by far, to the point where they kind of just stranglehold did the Rams in that game. And yet the last 2 weeks, the Rams have used that more than ever, way more over the last 2 weeks, and more effectively than ever. So how will that line up? Sean McVay talked during the week just about the challenges of playing Mike McDonald.
They're connected on all 3 levels. They play really good defense. They're connected on all 3 levels. They got great players, great scheme. They got great flexibility and fluidity, on a week-to-week basis. And, and then when they get you in some, bad spots, I mean, they attack and they feast on that kind of stuff. And so whatever Mike said, I totally agree with. And there's nothing but a ton of respect for this coaching staff and these players. And and really this football team as a whole, not exclusive to the defense. Their defense is unbelievable, but they're excellent on offense. They're excellent in the kicking game. There's no weakness. This is as complete of a football team as there is.
Yeah, he's right. Also, he's exhausted. His wife just had their second child yesterday.
Oh my God!
So, and going on to a short week. But yeah, Mike McDonald.
JJ McCarthy did not do well when he had a kid right before
fair.
the game. That could be a factor here.
Yeah. He's actually not having the child, so I think he's going to be fine. But the Mike McDonald is. So when I talk to coaches on both of these staffs, they compare the two coaches to each other because Mike McDonald is so good at these adjustments. And so he's expecting the change-up pitch that Sean McVay threw when 13 personnel was being defended so well as we predicted it would be, because Seattle is built to be this multiple where they can defend it, was trying to get into more 11 personnel because it's the same route combinations. It's just using smaller, faster players. The problem is Devontae Adams might not be available because of the hamstring injury. So you can't as easily go back and forth between 13 and 11 personnel in the way that they would prefer to, because you don't know if he's going to play. And then you're relying on, Puka Nacua is having another unreal season. Then also Konate Mumfield, Jordan Whittington, and again, a lot of pass-catching tight ends. And the interesting thing about this game to me is that even though we've seen, I think this is the perfect fit between Clint Kubiak and Sam Darnold, and I think that it's the perfect modern throwback of an offense, the Rams are really going to, I think, miss having Quentin Lake in this game, because having somebody who can command the middle of the field the way that Quentin Lake did, and he's injured now, having him able to take up that space and help dictate some of their coverage, but also dictate some of their pressures, because the Rams are not getting a lot of sacks on their pressures. They're actually under league average at converting pressure to sacks right now, according to Next Gen Stats. But they're forcing turnovers. They have the highest number of turnovers forced from pressure in the NFL this year. And a lot of that is what happened to Sam Darnold in the last game. But a lot of that was because they could move Quentin Lake, like what I mentioned, in some of these simulated pressures where you look like you're going to come in on a blitz, but then you're dropping back and making the zone very cloudy and murky, which made Sam Darnold not really understand where he was throwing the ball. So this is where I think this is an absolute necessity to have Chris Shough design some different types of looks this time, but then also for Sam Darnold to potentially be able to attack the middle of the field.
Yeah, and they have added a dimension to their offense with Rashid Shaheed. I think they really needed that, to have different layers. But since that Rams game, basically every opponent has taken some of that playbook and sent a ton of pressure. Minnesota would do it in any week, but they did it at Sam Darnold. Atlanta, it worked for a half until it didn't. And Indianapolis played an awesome defensive game against Seattle last week, and they got back Jake Sundell, their center, last week. Their offensive line has not had the development I think that they would like over the course of the season. The run game, which I was hoping had kind of turned a corner, has maybe taken a little bit of a step back the last two games for Seattle, and they're not really protecting Darnold well. So
their left tackle, Charles Cross, he got hurt in the last game, so he might not go. So in the most important game of the year, it might be decided by the backup left tackle in terms of how much time Darnold is going to have. Can JSN get enough separation?
Jared Verse needs a big game.
He
needs a big game. He's dying for a big game.
And not only that, but the Seahawks, they've started so unbelievably slow, especially in these last 5 games. I think they've only scored something like 12 points in the last first quarters over their last 5 games. And it's just the complete opposite of what the Rams do. The Rams come out and they try and score as quickly as possible. So things could really start lopsided fast.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think is maybe the sneaky, no pun intended, element of this matchup is, I warned about this before Matthew Stafford played in Carolina. Matthew Stafford in the rain. If it rains like it usually is in Seattle, Matthew Stafford had a real issue. One of the interceptions was a freak thing, but had a real issue. He lost a fumble. This defense is going to get after him, and the elements are not going to be fun. And Puka Nacua, who's, like I said, been unbelievable. He's also had one big drop over the last couple. I don't automatically give the edge to the Rams offense in elements like that. Now, if they run the ball the way they've been running it, they'll be okay. But it's Sean McVay, and he's gotten so used to just having Seattle's number when Pete Carroll was there. He's going to want to throw the hell out of the ball.
Myers is going to kick like 7 field goals.
Yeah, that could be that could be an advantage. We haven't really seen the thick kicker, Harrison Mevis, who's not really that thick anyways. It's like,
I know.
Calm down with the thick kicker. I've never seen a forecast like this. It says definite rain. I mean, it's just
No, it does not.
Yes. Yeah. So,
definite rain.
So I'm just saying, definite. Darkly chaotic Matthew Stafford potential.
And there's nothing worse than cold rain because it's going to be a little too warm for it to be snow, but it's going to be in the low 40s, maybe high 30s. That's a great call out. And you mentioned Davante Adams. Just to update that, our insider, Ian Rappaport at NFL Network, said initially week to week, which means he's out, according to Rappaport, at least as of Monday.
Chamber.
But the chamber has showed up.
The immortal chamber is on site.
McVay said we're going to try to take it all the way up to game time. It could be a game time decision. But when Puka Nacua spoke to the media, he just talked about how it's going to be important for Mumfield and these younger receivers to step up, talking as if he already knew Davante Adams is not playing in this game. So I would be surprised if Davante Adams plays. And
they just use him as like a decoy.
That's a big deal, though. Like, they don't have... I know Colby Parkinson's been awesome lately, and I kind of think he would be their number 2 receiver in this game.
He has been the last few weeks.
Right. Davante Adams has 789 yards this year and 14 touchdowns. No one else on that team has over 300. Like, it is... someone pops up for
started right away between the two of them.
Right.
Either.
Yeah, they're incredible.
And even last week, like, that wasn't just all about him in the red zone. So it really does change things up. And then you've been talking about the weaknesses of the Rams all season. It's probably at cornerback and certainly has been lately. And you think about that game last week where Emmanuel Forbes and Durant are giving up a lot of big plays. And I do think this is where, again, it could be a big Shaheed game because they haven't had enough elements, the Seahawks, that is, maybe to be a dominant offense. But Shaheed has been getting in the mix on just normal plays over the last few weeks. He's been like 4 for 76, and it can't just be all JSN. So is it an A.J. Barner game? He's been really good for them at tight end. Is it a Shaheed game? Like, that's one where I think the defenses kind of have the edge on both sides. They are the top 2 defenses in the entire NFL in success rate since week 12. So they are coming down the home stretch playing the best defense. And with this weather, it might not be like the greatest MVP showcase, but as long as you make the play at the end, that's what Stafford needs to
the biggest
get that
game
award.
in TNF history.
So I hear. Yeah, and this is going to be exciting because usually when everybody's talking about Matthew Stafford and he's trying to even quiet them from chanting it in the locker room post-game, chanting MVP in the locker room post-game, usually something very weird is about to happen. I've seen too many of these to rule chaos out, but I do think that there are sneaky like edges and leverage points on both sides. Braden Fisk dealing with a sort of a finicky ankle right now. That's a huge leverage point to me because you need to be able to rush the way that you want to rush. And then on the other side, like I do think that it could be a big A.J. Barner game because they're going to have to try to cap the explosives and you're going to have to try to attack the middle of the underneath of those zones. And A.J. Barner minus Quentin Lake in the middle of the field is going to be that target.
How many times will we hear Al Michaels talk about young geniuses in this game between Sean McVay and Mike McDonald?
Do you think we'll get the picture of the Washington coaching staff? Or
Can we just get a little more excitement if we have a game-winning field goal at the end? That's all I'm asking.
You want excitement? You listen to me and Gregg Rosenthal going live after the game.
What a call. Do you want to make a pick? Because you famously don't like making predictions, and then you went hard on the preview show with your Dolphins, and that thing crashed into the ground. So I don't know. I think the important part of being a takes woman is to keep making those takes, keep making those picks.
I'm not a takes woman.
Well, now you are. Now that you're 0-1 with the Dolphins. No, I'm kidding.
You know I have to pick the Rams.
You
know I have to pick the Rams. It's like you'd be at like. Of course I have to pick the Rams.
Yeah, are you looking at me?
These are the 2 best teams in football. You can't go wrong with a pick here.
Oh gosh, the Rams are going to sweep them.
If they don't,
I think so.
If they don't, Seattle, they basically knock the Rams out of the division title, because at that point, the Rams would be a game back, and Seattle's magic number to eliminate the Rams from winning the division would be 1. Now, Seattle finishes with 2 relatively tricky games at Carolina, at San Francisco, but all they would have to do is win one of those 2 in addition to beating the Rams. The sneaky, bigger than people think possibility here is that the Seahawks win this game, and that Week 18 against the 49ers, if San Francisco could get there, could actually be for the 1 seed. Like, the 49ers have a real chance.
And they have a game up on Seattle.
They have a lot of work,
and
though,
LA.
to do in the meantime. The 49ers do with at the Colts and then home for the Bears. So their schedule's tough, too. But it is a 3-team race that the Rams, like I said, they'll be in the driver's seat if they win. They almost certainly are out of the division race if they lose.
I mean, the winner basically controls their own destiny for the 1 seed.
I'll take the Rams. It worries me.
So, yeah, that worries me that we're all taking the Rams.
It does worry me how well the Seahawks played against them last time. And when I watched a little bit of that game back, it's really their front, I think, is so deep and versatile and strong that I think they're better on defense in terms of their front than the Rams' offensive line, who's played really well this year, but that it's a rare time where their offensive line might get in their way. I think the Rams find a way because of the running game. Better running game. Bad weather.
Let's go.
Let's go Rams. Either way, I like both these teams, and I don't think
these 2 teams. What a masterpiece all season from both of how they're built, what they did to try to fix previous issues. Both sides, the coaching, the adjustments, like, it's awesome. It's been fun.
I'm pre-coping, and this actually undercuts my idea that this is the biggest Thursday night game of all time. Because these 2 teams are both so good. I do think they're the best 2 teams in the NFL, that if either one of them is the 5 seed, I think they can make the Super Bowl still. I'm not crossing them off. Obviously, the chances are less than if you're the 1 seed, but I think they're both good enough. We've seen it happen a number of times before for a team to make the Super Bowl from that spot. It would be a team like the Seahawks or the Rams. So this isn't everything.
Okay.
All right. Can't wait. Again, we'll be live after that game. But we have more show in between. We've got a big-time preview show with Jourdan Rodrigue and Patrick Claybon coming up on Wednesday.
And Colleen's going to go stand in line for some ham.
You guys got to let me know the spots.
Wait, we're not going to see you next Tuesday.
Guys, Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
Send those holiday cards out. 900 District Drive, Inglewood, California, care of Colleen Wolfe. We'll read them after Christmas. We'll see you then.
Bye.